And we're live. Hi guys, welcome back to Maniacs. As you know, I started this stream last month and decided to now do this as a monthly stream. And so obviously I have had guests on. It's a different collection of guests this time, one returning, two new guests. And we're going to be discussing all things micro. Bear with me. I do, for some reason, as of about half an hour ago, seem to be sniffing a bit. So I might have a cold coming. I don't know, but do bear with me. And let's have a look at the comments. Let's see who's in. Oh, wow. Got a few people in already. So we have got 8-Bit Retro Refix. How you doing, Steve? And everyone's put 2 comments. What's going on here? Retro Skilly, how you doing? Pixel Plug. Ted's made this. Oh, and we got Martin. Funny that, because Martin's going to be one of my guests. And then we got Retro Bait, who is our returning guest. Bit of Cy, Ginger Hippie Gaming. How you doing, Cy? And then obviously one of my other guests right here. So let's get our first guest in. He is our resident retro quizmaster, and that is Paul Retro Bait. How you
I'm
doing,
never
mate?
first, mate. Nobody ever puts me on first. I was totally I was like, shit. I'm really good,
now,
mate. Yeah, everything's going, yeah, pretty decent. Looking forward to tonight's stream. Looking forward to talking about some 8-bit micros, my true love, or first love, I should say.
Yeah. That's the thing. That's why I enjoy this, because not many people seem to really talk about them, you know?
Yeah, there's a huge gap. There's a huge
Yeah.
space there, like a void. And I remember talking to you about this stream before you'd done it, and I was like, mate, I really think you should do it. It could be your thing. And yeah, I enjoyed taking part in the last one and this one, and looking forward to watching the rest, because I think you'll put your own kind of stamp on it. You know, looking forward to it, mate.
Let's hope. Right, should we get our next guest in? Let's just quickly turn that comment off. There we go. So you can see him in all of his full glory. And that is the homebrew king that is known as Martin, the Hobby Lodge. How you doing, mate?
Hello. Yeah, very good, thank you, mate. Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure I'm the homebrew king, apart from I'm the homebrew purchaser is probably the thing I'll say. That's one thing I can do, is buy a lot of homebrew. I might not know a lot about it, but I like it.
But much yet, but that's going to change. I've got a feeling.
Yes.
Very good, thanks, pal.
I think a lot of people are going to be asking what games should we buy, what shouldn't we, and of course we'll get to that in the stream, because I'm sure you've got a good idea of which homebrew ones are worth getting and which ones aren't.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've got my own personal view of it for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I thought we'd mention homebrew again, because we did do it on the last one, but you know, can't have you on here and not talk homebrew. So, yeah. I mean, I think you probably got. Sorry, what was that, Paul?
I was going to say, you know, when you have different guests on, I think you should. One of the questions to them, like a standard question, could be, "Do you play homebrew? And if you do, what games do you recommend?" Because like everyone's got different genres that they enjoy, so you know, you might find some. Do I see it? Hidden gems.
I got told off once for calling it homebrew. Someone in one of my videos said that they're not homebrew; they're fully licensed products, you know, fully published games. So we shouldn't call them homebrew, but for all intensive purposes, they are. From my reasoning, it's homebrew.
Yeah, if it's come out after a system's no longer supported, in my eyes, it's homebrew, right?
Yeah, it's just like a nickname, isn't it? It's not like a
exactly.
You know,
he said, she said. Right, let's get our next guest in, and let's just say she is the Queen of Amstrad, and that is 8-Bit Rach. How you doing, Rach? Is your microphone off? I think
we can't hear you, Rach.
Can you hear us?
Issues.
I don't know if she can hear us.
Oh, hang on. Do I hear something?
It's always the curse of doing something live.
Yes,
Yet
it is.
beforehand, it was working
It was
absolutely
working fine when we were talking. To each other.
It's always the way.
Try dropping her out the stream and then putting her back in.
Yeah, let's try that.
really.
Yeah. How about now, Rach? No, still can't hear her.
Still can't hear.
Yeah, we
Has
can't
she-
hear you, Rach.
Have you pressed your mute? You know, on the screen. You've got them like stop camera and stop mic. Is that pressed? No.
No, it appears to be on all right.
Oh.
I don't know. Might have to like just log out and log back in again.
Yeah, it might be an
I think
idea.
that might be the best.
Go, Rach.
We'll do some gap filling.
Yeah.
Yes. Right, let's just drop Rach out a minute. Right, okay. I'll tell you what we'll do. Let's go through the comments. So, where did we get
Mostly
to?
tech support for Rach, I think.
Yeah. Right.
Hopefully, someone in the chat can give her a help.
Hi,
See this
guys,
Rach just
how's
like
everyone?
turn it off and back on again.
Yeah,
Just as soon as it gets-
standard IT thing, yeah.
log out and
Oh,
log back in.
Look at this. Look. He had to do it, didn't he? He had to do it. Spectrum for the win.
He's on his
They
own, though.
win hands down on Colour Clash. Honestly, Spectrum wins hands down. There's nobody comes even close to it. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. See, the Dudley Witch is giving us grief already. Look. I remember when Chef first called him that, and I love that. I have to call him that now.
What?
The Dudley Witch.
No, I was looking at B8. I'm like, what?
Well, he
Someone
calls
put
him
in the comments.
he actually calls him the Ginger Dudley Witch, didn't he? But,
Yeah.
you know. Right,
Hey Ted, it's good to see you, mate. I'm glad you could pop in. I shared it on a few different groups that we were doing the stream tonight, and Ted said he was going to pop in and say hi. So good to see you, man. Definitely check out his Facebook group. He's if there's anyone here who are like YouTubers, he's got a Facebook group called YouTube Connect, and if you find that on Facebook, it's just lots of other like-minded people, and you know, might get some good hints and tips, stuff like that. So yeah, check it out.
Right, there's Generation Pixel. How you doing, Stu? Got to bring this up because otherwise my boy will be moaning. Although he spelt it wrong the first time and did it the second time.
If Generation Pixel's still watching, can you check your WhatsApp messages? Nudge, nudge.
I know this. He's off again. No live stream is complete without Paul. I would say that's true at the moment. You're probably on more live streams than Chef is. Right. Let's try Rach again because Rach is back. Can we hear her? Rach, is your mic working?
Oh
no. No. Oh, no.
It's probably in the settings of stream. It's probably in the settings of the StreamYards. It's probably picked up a different microphone or something.
Yeah.
Settings.
Yeah, I don't know if you can hear us, Rach. If you have a look at your audio settings, maybe it's that it's not running off your headset.
Isn't there a setting in StreamYard for what mic you're using? You know,
yeah,
before.
Yes, there is. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I mean, Rich? You know, like before you join the stream, you can go into the settings for your audio and your camera. You might have to press an audio. It might have selected like a microphone that's not there or something.
To answer Retro Skelly's question, it is Elden Ring that's being played on the screen behind me.
So apparently, according to Sai, you are a homebrew junkie, Martin.
Yeah, that's true. I'll go homebrew junkie rather than homebrew king. I think junkie is a better word for it. Yeah,
because I think I'd prefer king. Right. So what's this? Sai, you are on mute.
Really? Is that what's wrong?
Right. Okay. I'm going to drop you back out, Rach.
Yeah. I was going to say, Rach needs to come out and then log back in and then go to your settings and go, like, you know, when you've got the screen, you can go to audio settings and video settings, go in there and just double check where
I
it is.
blame
'Cause
the
sometimes
cat.
sometimes my chin does it. Yeah, it's the cat's fault.
It's the cat's fault. The cat clearly jumped on a button somewhere.
It could be. Right, I'm going to drop you out there, Rach. Right, okay. So let's have a look. So I'm thinking, should we do the show and tell bit first, Paul? What do you think?
Yeah.
Because we was going to do that second, weren't we? But I'm thinking we'll do that bit first. Hang on, let me just get rid of this comment off the screen first. There we
Just
go.
I was going to say, sometimes they go too far away and you're trying to find them. And sometimes I just press on one and then just pressing it again. So it just.
No, I'm thinking if we do the show and tell bit now, because I was going to do that second, but obviously the first bit we was going to do would have been more Rach and Martin, and obviously Rach's having issues with audio. So if we do the show and tell bit, we did touch on one of these things before, but I don't feel it really got enough time. So do you want to show everybody what that was?
So yeah, I wanted to try and talk a little bit more about the Commodore 128. Well, not really talk about it a bit more because, like, to be honest, it didn't do any other different things into a Commodore 64 as far as gamers are concerned. Like, I think there's literally one or two Commodore 128 specific games. All the rest, like, I just don't know if there is any others. But yeah, what I was talking about, I was saying how it was like kind of in between the Amiga and the Commodore 64C. Like, when you look at it from the side, that looks like a Commodore 64C pretty much. But then when you have the numeric keyboard and everything, it kind of has a bit of an Amiga feel. It does. So, and the other thing I was going to say was, like, a lot of people complain about the prices of the 128, but my advice is go to Germany, buy a German one, because they're a lot more common over there, and it's really easy to change it back to a UK keyboard. So yeah, it's quite an easy thing to do. So
just wondering, I mean, how much do they go for these days, Paul? Like, if you used to look for one, say on eBay or somewhere like that, how much would you be looking at paying for one of them?
Well, I haven't looked for a while, but I seem to remember them being like 180 to 200, like around that price. There's also a disc-based variant as well, and that's even like more expensive. Like, I think they're a fair few £100.
And what type of discs are they? Are they 3.5 or 5.25 floppies? Like, are we talking like the Commodore 64 or more like the Amiga
64? Yeah,
right, okay.
yeah. I think the first one to have the 3.5 was the Commodore 65. You might have seen the Mega 65, I think it's called, like the remaking the Commodore 65. Like, it's ridiculously expensive. It's like, I mean, I get why it's expensive, but it's just it's out of my price range, which means it's ridiculous. So they're about £900.
Wow.
And
wow.
That's a lot of money for something I've got no nostalgia for whatsoever. It'd be nice to have, but I don't think I'll ever own one of those. But like, the last auction I seen for a real one of those, I think went for about $30,000.
Jeez.
I think, like, for an original. And there was one popped up a few weeks ago, but it disappeared. I didn't get to see the end of the auction. It was just gone. So someone's obviously just took a lumper.
Yeah.
For a quick.
I mean, they're an interesting device. I mean, that's the thing. I do remember them coming about, but I think Si said it on our last stream that, you know, they were kind of like the 128 was kind of like a nonsense system, wasn't it, really? Because it kind of come out, but was just overshadowed by the Amiga. There wasn't a lot of point. And most people used it just to play Commodore 64. So
yeah, I mean, the most common thing I've ever typed in that machine is Go 64. You know, or I think you can hold the Commodore key down when you turn it on. I think that, but if it's on the green and black screen, like, you type in Go 64 and then it just turns blue, and then you're in Commodore 64 mode, and away you go. And it's got like the cartridge port on the back, so you can play, like, you know, cartridge games and what have you through there, or you can put like various different, you know, like the one that Steve's on about, you know, is it what's that cartridge? The Ultimate 64.
Oh yes,
you know, like that's where they plug in, and so you can still play all those games as well. But yeah, it's something I bought, and I did actually use it for quite a while. Actually, when I was making videos, it was my go-to computer. I don't know why; it was just something different. But yeah, at the minute it sits on the side. But it will get used again in a bit.
Right, before you show your next system you was going to show, let's see if we can get Rach back in. Let's see if...
Yeah, I think she said her mic was on.
Rach, is your mic working?
Oh, no.
Oh, no. No. Oh, man, I don't believe this. It was working, wasn't it? Right before the stream, it was working perfectly fine.
Is the thing pushed all the way in, like in the computer? Have you took it out and pushed it back in? Or?
Oh, hang on.
Oh, well, that did something.
We had some noise then. No, gone again.
Just a bit of white
we got some static feedback from you there, right? So something's working, but
what about just using the mic through the webcam? I mean, that might be an answer to this.
You'd have to go to the settings and change it.
Yeah.
Oh, there's the cat. My work here is done.
Right. Okay.
Retro Skelly was asking a question there. Were there any games released specifically for the Commodore 64? Sorry, for the 128. Yeah. As I say, I think it was literally 2 or 3.
Oh, I don't know what's that.
Yes.
Yeah, we've got you, Rachel. There's loads of feedback, so yeah.
Right, I'm just using the mic on the.
That seems all right.
Yeah, that's why there was feedback, because she switched the mic onto the webcam. Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
You might need to just turn your volume down just a little bit, Rach, because I think that's why it's feedbacking.
It'll be fine now. She's got headphones on.
Right, where's this question you were saying? Oh, here we go. Right, so there's Retro Skelly's question.
So yeah, there was literally, I think, a handful at most. So that was it. I have no idea what the games are. nothing like special, I don't think. Hi, Rachel. Good to see you.
Oh,
I should say it.
It's always a way, though, isn't it? That's all right, no worry. These things happen. It's always the way when you go live. Something always goes wrong, guaranteed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was fine beforehand, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's always the way. You can't odds it. That's proper IT skills, Rach. I'm just going through the comments quick. Paul, do you want to get your next system ready to show?
Well, I do often, I do show this quite a lot, actually, I think. But it's such a cool item that I was incredibly lucky to own. Like, these things go for, like, I think about 500 quid now. And basically, there was a Commodore 64 come up for sale in Spain, and it didn't have any photos. And I was like, oh, that's a bit shit. But I pressed on it anyway, and then I noticed that the last 2 photos had uploaded. The rest just hadn't uploaded properly, and they were all like you couldn't make out what it was. So I went to the last 2 photos, and they were of a motherboard, and I recognised that the cartridge port on this Commodore 64, it wasn't at the back, it was on top. And the only machine that had a Commodore 64 with a cartridge port on top was this bad boy, the Commodore 64 GS, which is quite possibly or potentially the worst selling console of all time. I don't know. I've had lots of people question this because I made a video about it not so long back, and I've had lots of interesting conversations with people a lot more knowledgeable than me, or at least I come across that way. But yeah, it definitely was bad. This was like released in 91, 92. So we're talking about it's up against the SNES, and this is basically 1981 Commodore 64.
Yeah.
All the games on it were available on disc or tape. So instead of paying like £4, they wanted $29.99, I think it was, for a cartridge for the same game. Although you did get to play it instantly. So believe it or not, it didn't really take off very well. And rumor has it that under 10,000 was sold. So that would make it very low. And the ones that didn't sell went back to Commodore, and they took the motherboards out, just trashed all the casings, and reused the motherboards in Commodore 64Cs. So that's why they're quite hard to find, because like all the ones that were made got stripped down. So literally the only ones that exist are the ones that people bought. No more.
Not Commodore's
much would
finest
that-
hour.
Sorry.
Hey,
How much would that console would have cost back in the day?
I think at one point they were selling for 10 quid.
Really?
In months. Yeah, I think they were down to £10. Originally, I think it was $99.99. But of course, the other problem was a Commodore 64 was $149.99. So for an extra 50 quid, like you could play discs, tapes, you could program on it. Famously, one of the games that was meant to be bundled with the Commodore 64 GS was the Terminator 2. It was the Terminator 2 cartridges.
Yeah.
However, when Ocean programmed it, they programmed it so you had to press the letter T to play the Terminator game. There's like you can do a program or you can do the game. Like God knows why they put it in, but obviously there isn't a keyboard, so you can't press the letter T, so you can't play the game. So the furthest you can get is just that screen, and that was meant to be bundled with the machine. So they had to take them all out, and then that's when you get the Commodore 64 Terminator 2 pack. So they put them all in them instead, and that's why the boxes are just like different to all the other Ocean cartridges, because it was meant to be bundled with that. But what a disaster!
It just goes to show that you don't get these problems just with new devices now. You know, you got them all the way back then.
Oh,
It's just that, you know, the
the-
internet wasn't a thing then, so not everyone knew that. You know,
the incompetence of Commodore was unreal at times, like literally unbelievable. It's amazing they got as far as they did at times.
Yeah.
Honestly, just when you hear about it, like
Oh, well,
things.
would you be able to know if let's say you opened up your C64C, whether you had a bastardized GS? Like, would you know because of the board number or the resident?
I'd say so, because like you would maybe be able to tell, like, because it's been resoldered again, so like
Yeah.
the burn marks on the board might be more, or but yeah, physically like they do look different, but yeah, I wouldn't suggest for anyone to go opening them to check. Really, it's not like it would make any.
If in a previous life your C64C was a GS.
But yeah, it would be cool to know if anyone did have one of them. I mean, I suppose that if you had a Commodore 64 that was previously a GS, that would make that pretty like rare, I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know of anyone. I've looked at like loads and loads of motherboards, and I've never come across one where I've been suspicious or anything like that.
well, the
So-
thing was there were a few different variations of motherboards. Do you think that might be why? Because some of them come out of the GS,
No.
and that's no, it wasn't
It
because
was,
of that.
it was the different motherboards were always down to cost cutting, where
Right.
the chips become more advanced. So you can have one chip do like the functions of 5 or 6 others. So they've done that, which costs less, and then yeah, it was all down to cost saving. Although they went from the bread bin motherboard to the Commodore 64C motherboard, because on the bread bin, I think the chips run at maybe 12 volts, where that was made them more prone to be hot, which meant they're more prone to failing. So on the Commodore 64C, when it goes to the voltage regulator, it's I'm pretty sure it's 9 volts. I am, which means there's less heat. There is.
Right, I like this comment. I just thought, good lord, the Commodore GS makes the GX 4000 look like a winner.
It does. It really does. And I've got one of those as well. I absolutely love the GX. And it's just we went from that, right, which I think is one of the worst looking consoles ever, but I love it,
Yeah,
to the Commodore 64 GX, which is it's kind of like it's basically an Amstrad inside of another case. It's exactly the same as what they've done here. It's a little bit better, like graphically in that. And that looks absolutely. I think it looks fantastic. I think it's one of the
Yeah, it
best
does.
looking consoles ever.
it
really-
kind of has like a bit of a sort of stingray shape to it, almost, doesn't it? Like when you look at the GX.
Oh, it's right in the bottom corner. I would have gotten it, but there's like games piled on it and all sorts, so I can't get it out. But have you seen one, Martin?
No, I haven't. No.
It's a really cool looking machine, like they are.
I've just got 8-bit retro. If its C64 port was handed hand soldered in the factory. GS and C64, no difference. Kernel cart port and disk serial port would be hard to tell if a GS was converted. Oh, okay. So always good to have Steve around because he knows a lot of stuff about this.
See,
And
I
knows
thought
a lot of stuff how to fix them.
I thought it was shaped slightly different, but I can't remember. Like I did obviously open it up just to give it a clean out, and I did have to repair the flaps. One of the flaps was like snapped off, but I've managed to get it back together and find a new clip thing, and so it works properly. That was the only thing that was wrong with it, but I can't remember what it looked like now. It was a while ago.
Yeah, I mean, Steve is definitely someone I want to have on in the future because he's very knowledgeable, isn't he, about this sort of stuff.
For
Big
sure.
time.
But I think when I bought it, I'm sure it was like 74 quid or something I paid for it. And that included like shipping to the UK. It didn't cost as much. So lucky. I couldn't believe, like, even because it was on a like a bid, you know, not the buy it now. And oh my god, that wait for for the last few minutes, because I knew what it was, and like I just didn't know if anyone else knew what it was, you know.
The funny thing is that although that's a terrible console, right, you'll probably find that will be worth money, like a lot of things that are terrible. You know, it's like with some games, isn't it? They were terrible as a result. They didn't make many of them. You know, people just chucked it away because it was rubbish. So you get less of them, then they're worth money. You know, you're probably going to find out with that. It's going to rocket at some point. It's bound to. Right.
Well, as I say, it's probably worth like I think about 400 quid or something now.
Jeez.
So
yeah. To think someone paid a tenner at some point for that.
Yeah.
It's not bad, is it?
Well,
we got Rach again. Let's see if we're all working again.
Are you all right?
Right, I'm going to try on my phone, see how that goes.
Sounds
That
good.
is 100 times better. Yeah, definitely.
Is that better?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
it's
much
just
better.
dropping connection, so we'll see how it goes.
Well, already the sound quality is much better, much better. Right. Okay. So let's get rid of this comment here. So what I wanted to show was this little device here. And that is the tape cart. Now, you hear a lot of stuff said about the SD to IEC and that, but you don't really hear this mentioned much. And I don't know if OSG's in the comments. I don't know if he's there or not, but I got this gifted to me by him. Thanks to Paul. You was obviously talking to OSG, weren't you? And he wondered if I wanted this and kindly sent me it. So basically, this plugs in, as you can see here, onto the tape deck port, and it runs off an SD card. So, and the good thing about this is that it runs them very quickly. The bad thing is it's only PRG files. And sometimes I've found with Homebrew, the PRGs you get sent don't always work. So I've had a few Homebrew games that wouldn't work on this. Doesn't matter. I've got a tape deck. I can play them on there. I've got the physical copy, so it's not a problem. But the loading time's so quick on this. I mean, I've heard people say about the SD to IEC can take, you know, a quite an amount of time, like it would a disc or a tape.
Yeah.
This doesn't. I mean, seconds and it's there, you know. So, in fact, when I did a video recently, I played Bruce Lee. Now, I got that off of Steve, 8-Bit Retro Refix, but I also had it on here. So the handy thing was that when I played it, I just booted it straight off this. It was there in seconds. So
you should see what the time difference is. It'd be interesting to know how long it takes to do both, like to see what the different times are.
yeah. I mean, I imagine the tape, you're probably looking minimum of 5 minutes, aren't you? And I mean, this is seconds. So
wow.
Yeah, it is that quick. You turn it on with this plugged in, it goes straight to the menu once you tell it to, you know. And then you just pick your game, push fire, and it loads it. You know, it's there within seconds. So if no one's got one of these, and you can get these on eBay, they're a great little device. And from what I can tell, in most cases, they're cheaper than the SD to IEC as well. So the only ball ache, like I say, is that you've got to find the PRG files, which are not always easy to find. So, but yeah, very good device. So I wanted to show that because I'll be honest, you do see people on YouTube talking about this, but a good majority of them I've noticed have been in the States. I haven't really noticed anybody over here talking about it. So it's mainly the SD to IEC or the cartridge, the Kung Fu Flash. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about that because it doesn't seem to be a widely known thing over here. So yeah, right now that we've got Rach and we can hear her, we're going to move on to our next topic, and that is going to be more Rach and Martin because me and Paul have already discussed our introduction into micros. So what we did before, we talked about how we initially got into them and then how we ended up back into them. So I don't know if you want to do that as well, guys. Rach, what got you into micros?
I've always sort of had computers because my brother was about 7 years older than me, so he would have got a computer when he was younger. So our first computer was a VIC-20. What did that come out in 81? So I would have been 1. So yeah, actually, just have computers round as long as I remember. And we had it connected up, to a portable black and white telly, with the little wire aerials, the crappy ones. So I loved it though, I absolutely loved it. We used to spend hours playing Super Vaders and Bomberman and all them. And then Christmas 1984 or 85, we got the Amstrad. Oh God, it was bloody brilliant. That was like the best Christmas ever. And you got the what do you call it, Amsoft 12-pack. I just spent all Christmas holidays playing them. As a 4-year-old, I thought they were great. I thought, bloody brilliant, this.
What was your favourite one?
I liked Roland in the Caves and Harrier Attack.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that. I was going to say Harrier Attack is just like, you should just hammer that space bar. It was great.
Bloody brilliant. And those games, even my mum and dad liked playing things like Old Mummy and that. Do you know what I mean? And my parents weren't interested in gaming. So, we had the green screen. But like I said, I was buzzing with that because our VIC-20 was on the black and white portable, so green screen. I mean, that was like colour to me. Do you know what I mean?
One colour at least, yeah.
Yeah. It's got like different shades of green. It's a step up. But so that's how I, got into it. And I had my Amstrad. It just stopped working about 1994, so I had a good 10 years out of that. And I was using it for the whole 10 years. Do you know what I mean? So, we never bothered getting another computer after that. I was sort of got into the consoles a little bit. But then like years later, probably about 5 years ago now, I was just sort of looking at, been talking, I think, about different games with somebody, and I thought, I'll just Google them and, look at old videos and that, see if there's any, cost us bloody millions, and do you know what I mean? And then I just sort of gradually started joining people's streams and got talking. And then they were on about emulation. I thought, why did I not know about emulation? And I thought, bloody hell, I can literally play any Amstrad game I want. So that was it, yeah. Sort of rediscovered it. And playing all those old games that I used to love. You look back at them now and you think, God, they were crap, really, weren't they? Some of them. But, and you're thinking, did I spend that long playing that? But sometimes even the crap ones have got their own sort of charm, haven't they? Because you've got all the memories that go with it.
It's the nostalgia.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a powerful drug.
It's the expensive one.
Yeah, it is.
Right, Martin, same question to you, my friend. What got you into micros initially and then also later on?
I mean, fairly similar in that they've always been around. I've had computers in the family forever. Luckily, my dad was into it. And so, I can remember earliest was the ZX81, Spectrum ZX81, and playing some text-based games on that. Super young when that was around. We then moved from that to the Commodore 16. I have vivid memories of playing Kickstart on that just over and over again. The music, I could sing it now. The music's so ingrained in my brain from the Kickstart, the game. And then I got the Night Moves pack I remember that with the owl on the front, getting that for Christmas on the, obviously that was the Commodore 64. Getting the tape, the disc drive for it, which I thought was just mind blowing when you had this disc drive in your house that you could pop big old floppy disks in. And then just carried on. I was always doing compute. Like, I knew I was going to work in technology. I knew I was going to work in computing from those days. So I always made sure I had the latest and greatest machines as and when they came out. So that eventually meant going on to Amiga, and then of course onto PCs when they first started to be a thing, and so on and so forth. So yeah, it was. But I kind of, then there was like a I don't know, 25-year gap between owning one of these things and meeting up with you guys through this community, the retro community, meeting Paul, and then talking about a C64, and then just, you know, getting hold of one from him. And it was super weird, right? Because I actually picked up one of the C64 minis from a boot fair for £1, right? The guy didn't know what it was. He thought it was a toy.
That is crazy, £1.
Yeah. But the weird thing is, when I brought that home and plugged it in, it was like, oh, I've got a C64 mini. That's nice. It's got all these preloaded games. It didn't have anywhere near the impact that the day that one I got from Paul got delivered here, and I unplugged it. I plugged it in, fixed all the problems that Paul
Yeah, fixed it. Never live that down.
Tell us more.
Yeah, we can get into that. But genuinely, when I plugged that thing in on the table behind me, and flicked the rocker switch, thinking I haven't done that in 30 years. Like, really weird little things, like plugging the tape drive in and turning it on for the first time, putting a tape into the tape deck, and the sound of clicking it down. All of these weird memories just started rushing back. And for me, so, you know, you talked about that tape cart a minute ago. It does nothing for me. This, for me now, has to be the physical. I'm all about, if I'm not interacting with it in a personal way, I don't care about digitally loading things. I don't care about any of that stuff. It has to be, I have to have the tape or the disc. I have to be putting it in the machine. I have to be turning it on. I have to be using a joystick. I have to be using the joystick I had when I was a kid. So I went on eBay and found the exact one I had when I was a child. It is, for me, it's all about not just the playing of the games, but the tactileness of it, the sounds of it, just the interacting with it is where I didn't know it would drum up all the feelings it did, but it did. And now I'm totally hooked. Like, now I'm back there again. I'm back being a 8-year-old kid playing with this machine. So yeah, I've said it a million times, but thanks to Paul for helping me get there and get one. Minus the dodgy keyboard and the other bits.
Honestly, like just watching you start that journey, and it made me remember what it was like when I first got mine back. Like, I could see it, and then you discovered homebrew, and I remember buying all this and like playing the homebrews for the first time, and it was just a massive rabbit hole.
Yeah.
So yeah, welcome.
Yeah,
I did enjoy that video you did, Martin, when you did that. Like, because when you was saying about putting the tape in and pushing it down and the click of the tape deck, and it was like you could feel it. You could feel the emotion, you know. It was a really good video.
It's things you haven't. It's not just the playing the games. The nostalgia is in the whole process. The whirring of that tape rewinding to the point that it goes click and the button pops up and it's done. Like, it's silly little things that catch you that you just haven't done for 30 plus years, and you're like, oh yeah, like I said, I had to get the I can't remember what disc drive it is, the 1541D. I can't remember, but it has to be the one with the lock on the front, you know, the sort of flip down catch that holds the disc in.
I've got the older ones.
Yeah, because for me that's the one I had, and even locking the disc in is like, yeah, that is the feeling I should have when I put the disc in. And for some people, I know it sounds probably very weird. Yeah. Sorry, Rach.
So it's the whole ritual of loading the games, isn't it? From the minute you open the case.
Yeah.
100%.
100%.
I mean, it's the thing. I mean, I've got the tape card, but I do still load up tapes, you know, because, like you say, it's like when I did a premiere recently with the two boys, and they hadn't played on the Commodore 64 at all, and I've had it now for quite some time. And so I thought, well, let's do it how I did it back in the day, you know, load a tape up. And it was funny, like, if you've watched it, just watching my eldest boy Kyle trying to put the tape in the tape deck, he looks so uncomfortable doing it because he just doesn't know how it goes, you know. But
Press play.
I want, yeah. When he went to push play, he thought it was more like a touch button, not a physical push it down, you know. You know, to us guys, it's funny to watch, but of course, it's all alien to them, isn't it? They've got no idea.
And, and even things like, you know, where you said, like, you know, loading it is super fast when you're using an SD card reader or something like that. And totally for convenience, that's amazing, right? And the fact you can store thousands of games is brilliant. But I genuinely love the fact that the game takes a little while to load. I get to open up the case, have a look at the little manual inside, read what my controls are, listen to some of them. When they put music on, it's amazing. Or when they've put Space Invaders in the load screen. Like, these are things that you don't do now. Yeah. Exactly.
Brilliant.
Exactly. You don't get to do that now. Now you stick your game in and it's on and you're playing, and you probably skip past the start screen. You've skipped past everything to get the immediate gratification of playing the game. Where back in our day, and I sound like a really old man, that it was the ceremony of it. It was the going through all of the little bits, and I absolutely love it. You know, that's it.
Martin,
the games don't seem to take. Sorry, go on.
Oh no, after you.
I was going to say that I remember the games taking ages to load, but like started buying like the actual physical games again, and they don't seem to take as long as I remember. Actually,
no.
Funnily enough, I thought it'd be the other way around, but
I think it's just when you're a kid, you know, anything seems like a long time, don't it? Like you think when you're at school, you know, the whole time you're at school seems like a long time. You come out of school, you're an adult, you start working. The same amount of years go by and it goes like that. But when you was at school, it took ages. You know, I think it works that way with everything. You know, I mean,
next thing you know, you find you're buying old computers.
Yeah. And the chef just put it in the chat, but I mean, for me, the music on a Commodore 64 blows my mind. It is just.
That's my nostalgia.
I don't care if I'm a fanboy. It is amazing. I could listen to it as music. It's just so good. I just absolutely love it. Every time I put a game on, some of them just absolutely just kill me. It's just so good.
Yeah. I was going to ask, have you ever, when you've been loading a game and Invader Load comes on, have you ever cheekily pressed stop on the tape just to enjoy a good game of Invader Load? Because it used to be on my version of Tau Ceti. And I remember sometimes I was really looking forward to playing it, and then I got into Invader Load, and I was like, "Oh, I can't be asked to play the other game," so I used to press stop.
I didn't actually know you could do that, but now I do. So there we go.
I used to love Invader Load. Brilliant.
I got an achievement the other day because I managed to clear a screen whilst it was loading. I was like, "Yes, that's it. I've done it. I've done it. Full screen clear."
What game were you playing, by the way?
What was it?
It's normally on like Mastertronic or Ricochet, I think, or
I can't remember which. I can't remember which one it was. I was playing a bunch on the stream the other night. It might have been that Scumble one. I can't remember which one it was, but yeah, one of them.
I wouldn't mind like trying to get all the different ones with Invader Load on. I think
I'll find out which one it was because it'll be on the stream. I can look back.
It's cool thing to collect, you know, because there's not that many who've got it on really.
Yeah,
we've got a lot of conversation about the SID chip now. I mean, Generation Pixels put. Now they won't shut up about the SID chip.
And rightly so. Yeah.
The music on the Amstrad's surprisingly good. Like it's better than what I was expecting for when I played it for the first time. Like so, especially on like the homebrew games I've been playing recently. Like the music on the Amstrad's, it's been all right. Like it's been decent.
Yeah. Best music. That's my favourite game, and the best music ever is on them. Got it here. I don't know if you can see it. Feud. Oh, I love that game, and the music's brilliant.
Right, I've got to bring this.
Amstrad got its own version, wasn't the Spectrum part for once?
Oh, that's good to know.
It was always good when they've done that, when they bothered.
So I've had to bring this comment up again because I do think this needs some explanation, some context here. Sorry, Paul. So come on, Martin, tell us what happened when you got the Commodore 64 from Paul.
I feel terrible for telling him, but when the Commodore 64 turned up, and I was extremely excited, and obviously Paul had done his due diligence and checked that it was a fully working machine for me. I trust him; he knows what he's doing. So
literally test it before I put it in the box as well. That's the worst thing about it.
I get it home, I plug it all in, I turn it on, and I of course go to type load, and the whole command, and I'm pressing the L key, and a J's coming out. I'm pressing the whatever. Every key I pressed, a different key come out, or no keys come out, and I was like, oh man, I've got to do this awkward phone call where I've got to ring the guy. He's done me a huge favor in getting me a machine for a really good price. And he's gonna feel awkward. I already feel awkward. So we had this whole thing, and Paul's like, it'll be fine. Yeah, obviously if it's bad, send it back, but I've checked it, mate. I take the case off thinking, well, at least have a look. And it turns out that Paul had just missed the first couple of pins when putting the keyboard connector onto the board.
I need glasses. What can I say? I mean, this is actual proof that I need glasses.
So all the keys had basically shifted to the left a little bit. So that's why it got wrong. So I could reconnect that and reconnect the LED, and we were away. We were all good. But yeah, it was funny because it was just, it's like when you buy something from a friend, the last thing you want to do is go back and go, oh mate, and we haven't known each other very long either, so it's that whole awkward thing of
I'm glad it worked out. I was like, I couldn't understand, because what I'd done before I packed it, I thought I'll just check it one last time, and I put the diagnostic cartridge in, and you've got to like disconnect the keyboard, and you get like different ribbons to plug in to different ports on the motherboard. Then you do a full test, and I was like, right, I'm definitely happy with it. Took all that apart, and then obviously when I put it back together and I put the keyboard on,
Sod's law, isn't it? That's what it is.
Of course.
Retro Skelly's just reminded me, I think it was Joe Blade 2 that had the Invaders load Invaders.
Right.
Oh, that's right. You played it on the stream, 2. Didn't you? Yeah.
When was that? Oh, was that the one I literally come in like at the end?
Yeah. You was like, hi guys, and we're all putting good stream. Right.
You should go back and watch it, Paul. It's really good.
I'm going to watch it again, especially if there's Invader load on there. I do. It's great. I'll have to. So, was it a player's version, or you won't know, will you? What type it was?
No, I don't think so. I don't think it was.
I can't remember.
I'll have a look. I'll find out which one it was.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, what's this one? Hang on. Oh, it keeps jumping as I go to click on it. Combat School, Daily Thompson, Hyper Sports, loved all of them. But these are joystick killers. Yeah, couldn't agree more.
Yeah.
Yes, definitely. You didn't want to have a cheater joystick playing these, did you? Because it would definitely kill a cheater joystick, wouldn't it? Like, I hated them joysticks with a passion. They were rubbish. Game like that would definitely finish one of them off. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that is now the only thing I'm after really for the C64. It's the holy grail of the Terminator 2 joystick. That's the one I had. I have to find that joystick again.
And remind us, Martin, who makes that joystick?
Doesn't matter who makes it. It was the best joystick in the world for my 8-year-old self. So
enough said.
Hopefully, it's going to turn up on Swap Shop. That's the hope. That's the plan. That someone's going
to. Right. Okay. So let's move into our next bit now, then, shall we? And that is, if you could have any micro you don't have, what would it be? Paul.
MSX.
Yeah, I thought you might say that.
Yeah. I'm actively looking to buy one. One of my friends that I work with up here, he had an MSX back in the day, and I've seen some of the gameplay. I think Si's got one.
Si's got everything.
Yeah, well,
I think he lives in a warehouse.
But yeah, that's 100%. I think does it stand for Microsoft X or something like that? I think I'm not 100%, but I think it might have been made by Microsoft, like right at the very beginning. Yeah, that was a terrible game. Oh my god, absolutely destroyed that that franchise, Renegade 3. But yeah, the MSX has got some of these cartridge games as well, and I've been looking on YouTube and I've been watching a bit about the MSX, and I've put them inside now. I have actually got some MSX games, so it'd be cool to play them. It would.
Just noticed size comment there, Zipstick for me. Yeah, I had one of them back in the day. They were really good joysticks. And
yeah, they're good.
I loved them. Yeah, micro switched and all that. Very similar to Competition Pro, weren't they? Good joysticks. Right. Going back to, let's get rid of this. Go back to our banner. If you could have any micro you don't have, what would it be, Rach?
Well, I only saw this just pure accident on somebody's channel once, and it was a computer called the Alice, and it was released. It was only released in France, and it was a clone of a Tandy machine, and it was supposed to be. I think was it released in 1983? It was supposed to be a bit like a Spectrum, like a starter computer, but it never really took off, and it wasn't really that successful, if I'm honest. And there weren't loads of games for it, but I just like the look of it. It's like that bright red casing on it, like a little matching data set or whatever you called them. And it came in a little carry case. So it's just the pure visual of it. I think they looked really great. But the people that owned them loved them, but it wasn't massively popular, I don't think, even in France. So where it was released. So yeah.
Size just put a comment. I've seen the Alice, looks interesting. Yeah. If it's bright red, I mean, it would do, I suppose, wouldn't it?
Yeah. Like I said, I don't think the games looked great. I think there were a lot of like educational games, because I think they wanted to bring it into the schools there, but they didn't get the contract, I believe. So, but yeah, it looks really good. I'd love one. They just don't come up often, do they?
Sometimes that's the thing. Although you know a system's not successful, or might not look that good. Sometimes it's just the fact that it's unusual that you want it. Because I found out with things, sometimes I want something not because it's particularly good or whether it worked in the first place. Maybe it was a failed system. Sometimes it might be just the fact that it's different. You don't see it anywhere else. And so as a result, you want it,
Yeah. It's true that. It does look like a really nice computer, actually.
Yeah. Sometimes just the look of it alone makes you want to get it, doesn't it?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
So Martin, let's get rid of that.
Yeah,
Martin,
I mean, it's not going to be anything too surprising because I've already mentioned it, but it will probably be the Commodore 16. Given how I didn't know how I would feel getting the C64, I think I need to go and get that Commodore 16 now as well and play Kickstarter. Tutti Frutti is another one that's just jumped into my mind. That was an amazing game on the C16. There's a bunch of them. So yeah, I think I will be looking out for a Commodore 16 for sure.
You saying Tutti Frutti? Was there a version of that on the C64? Because that sounds familiar to me. That game.
There might have been. I don't remember it, but I definitely remember it on the C16. I don't know if they did.
I'm pretty sure I've got a copy of Tutti Frutti somewhere. If I have, mate, you can have it.
That'd be amazing.
Sure.
That'd be amazing. Get it up on the swap shop, mate.
I've got a pile here for you. So
Lee's just put here. He's on the hunt for one.
Cheers, buddy. Thanks, mate. All of the retros in Essex, you can find it. It's literally just.
He just finds gold on his doorstep, doesn't he?
Yeah.
It's crazy. Cushions on a sofa. There's one there.
But yeah, that would be it. Because I think for me now, the big focus for me now is going to end up being. I think I've realised, I've got a nice collection of games, right? I've got every system, every mainline system that's been out. I've probably got 50 plus games on every system, and nothing has had the impact that what Paul did to me. Paul, you got me in a special place, my friend. And I think the rest of it will start to drop back now for me focusing in on Commodore, and that will be C16, C64, and the Amiga as well. So yeah.
See, I think Paul's responsible for a lot of what's going on with the Commodore 64 and people getting back into it, because he certainly was with me. I mean,
He's
you know,
tapped us in special ways. I'll show you where he tapped me on a
when you're watching his videos and that, I mean, like I say, originally when I got rid of mine, a couple of years after I got rid of it, I regretted it, but then I didn't really think about it for a long period of time. And then when I started watching Paul's videos and I'm seeing what he's playing and that was it. The bug was back again, you know. So and that's not a bad thing, like that's a good thing, you know. So the nostalgia come back, and that was it. Then I knew I had to get one, you know.
Choice, and you took the right choice.
Yeah. So I think there's probably a few people out there. I mean, I can see Retro Skelly in the comments, and I don't want to speak for him, but I wouldn't be surprised if Retro Skelly says the same. So I know that he was watching us all at one point. So it's probably because he's got a C64, hasn't he, recently?
I'm sure I sold him that one as well.
Oh, there you go, then. There you go. See, there's my point. Point proven.
I hope so.
Yeah, like a C64 coat or something.
Well, Gavin Southern, but I just hand them out, you know.
You want some Commodore 64? You want some Commodore 64? Meet me around in the alley. I'll sort you out, mate.
So, yeah, fool to himself, but
Need a Commodore 64 in your life. You got Commodore 64, Rich? Not yet.
Oh. Well, I suppose if I was to answer this question, I mean, I've got a Spectrum that isn't working. I've still got problems with that, and the less said about that, the better at the moment. We won't go down that. But I think if I was to pick a micro, it would probably have to be the Amstrad. Main reason for that, I've always been quite curious of it. I mean, a friend of mine did have one. I never really got to play it though, because he got an Amiga, and so that sort of got put in the corner. And I think I told this story at some point to a couple of you guys before, but he put it to the side when he got his Amiga and just left it sitting in a pile in the corner. And we was watching football, and Aston Villa were playing, because he was an Aston Villa fan, and he was peeling an orange while watching the game, right? So, and he's getting all excited. He's peeled this orange. They score. He kicks the orange. It hits the wall, slides down the wall, straight onto his Amstrad, kills it. so I've always been curious of the Amstrad, because he had one, but I never got a chance to play it because of what happened with the orange. So, so really, that's really out of the main three. That's the only one I've not really had any time on.
quite expensive, aren't they, though, to get?
Yeah. I mean, even with the Spectrums now, you're finding the prices going up on them as well.
If you look in the groups, like on Facebook, you can normally pick them up pretty decent there. But if you look on eBay, you're paying top dollar. You know, and they've probably been bought off Facebook to sell on there anyway. So
or if you like me, or if you like me, you can get a Spectrum off of a Facebook group and then find loads of stuff wrong with it. So it doesn't always work out.
I wanted that one as well.
Yeah,
but I did see it. I did ask him, like, does it work? He's like, yeah. And he's obviously loaded up a game that luckily worked, or he's turned the light on and the screens come on with, like, you know, the words and that, and he's like, yep, works, nice one.
I think he probably just turned it on, because obviously the loading screen comes up fine, and the only games that have really worked are the less demanding games. So I think he probably literally just turned it on, to be honest. So yeah, it's an annoyance, but we'll solve it. I'll solve it eventually. So right, okay, let's have a look at the comments, because I can see they're quickly ticking by.
You've got a question in there as well, I think.
Hang on, just before we get to that question, Retro Bait sorted me out as well. Right, no, that confirmed that.
Yeah.
Right, where's this question? Is it this one, Martin?
No, although the answer is yes. The answer is yes to that question. But actually, people might not know this, but you know, Sega Zombie gave me the great tip of, if you get a squeaky tape that you've bought off eBay or off of Swap Shop, or you've been to the retro realm, as you all should do, then if you get a squeaky tape, leave it on the radiator for a bit, and it seems to help alleviate the squeak. So yes, there are still some tapes on the radiator. No, the question you had from was Tez made this, and it said, question for the guys: what 8-bit games do you think deserve a modern makeover?
Oh yeah, I see it. Yeah,
There
we
you
go. Oh, interesting question. Who wants to go first on this?
I would love to see Feud have a modern makeover.
Okay.
I love that game. I mean, I don't know how you could improve it. I love it to bits, but yeah, it'd be interesting.
What can you imagine a modern version of like Leisure Suit Larry or something like that? That'd be interesting.
Yeah,
that would be cool.
Actually, I think there is some more modern versions of Leisure Suit Larry.
Was there one on the PS2 or something? Or was
I think even later than that. I think there's been. Yeah, I think there has. Yeah, I think maybe on Steam, on PC and stuff. There's been some.
Such a good idea. Someone's actually done it.
yeah.
Well, can't be that good because I've never. Well,
just because it's got, I've got it in front of me, and I don't know whether you can improve on it because it is a classic. But I've got international karate, so I'd love to see a 3-player. Karate's not really represented in fighting games these days. They're all a bit fantastical. So I'd love to see proper martial arts game, especially because it's 3-player as well. So 3 people in a fight. IK Plus is one of my favorite games of all time. So yeah, I'd love to see that being redone.
Do you know the funny thing? I mean, I'm a Commodore 64 nut, but I do love the Amiga version of that more than the Commodore 64. Yeah. I don't know if it's because you can cheat on it so easy. It might be that.
It's like making the trousers fall down, Lee. That's all you like doing.
There is that. That's true. But also, if you swear on it, it comes up saying something about sweaty hands slip the joystick as well.
Get your dirty hands off that keyboard. I think it's it.
Yeah, something like that, isn't it? But what I used to do is with the zip stick, if you just tap down and continuously did it, he would just go along the screen, slide kicking continuous, and you
sweeping the
really
leg
far into the game, you know. So it's not technically a cheat, but it works. It definitely works.
For me, it's one of those. It's there's not many games that makes you feel the impact of the hit. Like when you connect with a kick or a headbutt or a punch in this game, the sound it makes and the action, it's really good. It's like it proper feels like you've made an impact on someone. So from a fighting game, from a very simple time, I think it's fantastic. And you're right, the Amiga version is fantastic. And I've already fired it up on the Amiga Mini, but it was even good on the C64.
The thing that I like about IK Plus is that funny sort of like dog noise when you knock them to the floor. They go, like, don't they, when they hit the floor? Weirdest sound you've ever heard in a game, but it works for some strange reason. Yeah. So so your answer is IK Plus, Martin.
Yep.
Paul, was yours Leisure Suit Larry?
Mine's already been taken. I've been trying to think of something else, but it's pretty difficult because, like, when I think about the games that I play and love, like, if you brought them to a modern day, there'd already be like a modern day equivalent, like pretty much. Like 8-bit wise, I think it's because you've only got certain genres like on the 8 bits. Nothing like on the 16 bits, people were able to experiment with the games like Cinemaware and stuff like that. Like how they've done games. Like they'd be interesting to see remakes of them. Like it came from the desert in VR, for instance. Like something like that would be pretty cool. But from the Commodore 64, like I used to play a lot of football games, a lot of manager games, Gauntlet, but like that's been done. Commando, you've already got games like that. Various movie movie license ones, but like they wouldn't really work now because like the films are, well, I don't know. Some people might buy them, but in like racing games, like Stunt Car Racer, I love that on the Commodore 64. But maybe a racing game where you're like, you're so high off the road and you get put on there by a crane and you've got the turbos and there's no walls, there's nothing. If you go off, you go off. There ain't any games like that knocking about at the minute. But I don't know whether anyone would get on with it these days. It'd be too hard.
Yeah, we need a remake of Tubin.
See, the thing for me, it's a hard question because I like them because of the way they looked back then, So it's a difficult one for me. Like, do I want it remade? No, not really. I like the way it looked then. But if I was to answer this question, and I think everyone would probably agree to this degree, let's be honest, any racing game on a Commodore 64 could do with a remake because most of them were terrible, weren't they? So I think that's the best way for me to answer this question. Chase HQ definitely would be much better if that got remade. It couldn't be any worse, could it? So, or Outrun. You know, there's another one that was terrible, wasn't it? So
Music was all right.
yeah, the music was great. Yeah,
Let's not get started on that.
yeah. So I think that would be my any racing game. Just redo it because they were terrible. That's one thing that the Spectrum can really say they did well. Really, I think when it is the racing games.
Oh, I mean that Travel Through Time. That's a homebrew game that came up last year, and that's blown me away. It's one of my favorite racing games ever. It's just so good. I really want to complete it. So, yeah.
Right. Okay. Let's move into our next part. Which micro game brings the most nostalgia, Paul?
So, for me, it's like what Martin was saying earlier. Quite what brings back memories for me is the music of the games. So, nostalgia-wise, one like the first time I played the 64, I played like 4 or 5 games, and one of them was this.
Yeah, of course.
And
yeah, great game.
yeah, certain Mr. Rob Hubbard made that tune to this game overnight, and it's just by far my favorite ever piece of music on the Commodore 64. I've got it as my intro on my channel, like an updated version. I love it. It's my favorite. I've got it on CD in the car if I really want to annoy the kids. Retro Gamer magazine brought out a CD, and it's on there. So yeah, play it in the car. I just think it's nostalgia wise that would have to win, because like my nostalgia is hugely fueled by the music in games, and it's my favorite piece of in-game music. I prefer it even over the music in Chaos Engine, like nostalgia wise. So yeah, and the game itself is pretty decent. It's a bit buggy. It hasn't got all the levels. I've never ever completed it, and I never will. But if you do play it these days, definitely play it. I think they brought out another version in maybe in 2015, something like that. So they brought like an updated version. It's got all the levels, all the bugs have been fixed, and they've even put in new updated music, which absolutely nobody ever will listen to, because why would you? Like, why would you when you've got Hubbards?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would stick with Commando.
Cracking game. I mean, that'd easily be in my top 5. That great game.
Yeah, love it.
Right. So, Rach, which micro game brings you the most nostalgia?
I struggled to narrow it down to one, to be honest with you.
It's difficult, isn't it?
But
it is.
It is, because you like them all for different reasons, don't you? But it's going back to what I said earlier about when we first got an Amstrad and with the Amsoft 12 pack, and this, it's not the best game on the Amstrad. It's not even my favourite game. But Roland in the Caves, don't know if you can see it. And I like it because, I don't know, I like it because of its simplicity, I think. And it was had some like music at the start. It was a bit crap when I've listened back to it, but I can remember it, and I thought, oh, this is bloody ace, this. And my dad was like, yeah, give us a go. And I remember us all sat round like, yeah, my turn now. And we just played it for ages, and we'd load up the other games, but we'd all always come back to that. I'd be like, Dad, do you want to go on Roland in the Caves? He's like, I'll have a quick go. 10 minutes later, he's like, yeah, hang on, kids, just one more go. And it's just that. I remember it was one of maybe 2 or 3 games that my mum and my dad would think, oh, I'll have a quick go on that. And my friend got an Amstrad a couple of years after me, and I can remember her calling me over on Christmas Day to have a go. She had the bloody pillar on it, of course. So yeah, she had Roland in the Caves as well, so we were playing that on Christmas Day. So like I said, I still enjoy the game now, but it's not the best game by a million miles, but it's the memories in it.
Yes, yeah. Again, nostalgia, isn't it?
Yeah.
Was that a game you played on your channel recently? Because you did play a rolling game recently, didn't you?
I played a couple of them recently, Roland in Space and Roland in Time.
That was it. It
They
was
were
the
released
space
by other
one.
people. Yeah.
That's the thing. There's a
They're all
few of them, isn't there?
Yeah. I mean, in some of them, I don't know what Roland's supposed to be. He was supposed to be a flea, I think, but then in other games he's not. So I don't know. I've got no idea.
Obviously,
It
they
doesn't matter
didn't
when
either.
you're 4 years old.
Right, Martin, what game brings you the most nostalgia?
Oh crikey! Yeah, this is ridiculously hard because I've already mentioned some great games that I play almost on a daily basis. So I cheated and went for a series. So I think for me it was the Turrican series on
Good
the
choices.
C64.
Nice.
Yeah.
I just, even now when I put them on, how smooth they are, how fast they are, how many power-ups there are, the fact that you've got, you know, the actual guns you can fire, then you've got the directional gun you can fire, the fact that they put in this kind of multi-directional gun in this kind of age of gaming, they did so, and the music is amazing, it's action packed, it's everything, and they are timeless classics, and they're just brilliant. They're just amazing games. But there's so many. But yeah, I think Turrican for me. If I think Turrican, I think Commodore, and I think on 64. So yeah.
It was
Old
written.
style gaming agrees.
It wasn't the Commodore 64 version the original, like the Amiga. Even though the Amiga version was released first, I think the Amiga version was based on the Commodore 64 version, even though the 64 version came out second.
Oh really?
OSJ might know, but I'm pretty sure that was Turrican 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah,
it's just.
I mean, it comes very close to that and RK Plus, only because if you think about when this game came out, the 80s. It was all action. It was watching Jean-Claude Van Damme. It was watching Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee and all these movie heroes that I was watching. And this game let me be a kick-ass martial arts individual, you know, and take down these two foes. And every single day, because a game you can get good at as well. And there's no you just jumped into the action, so you just started fighting immediately. And I can just remember playing it every single day and thinking I was Jean-Claude Van Damme. I still think that now. You know, Chuck Norris. You know, all these people. You know, so yeah, it's a very close second. But I don't think you can think of this era without thinking about Turrican. Right, Turrican's an amazing game.
Yeah, definitely.
Never finished them, and I ever will do because they're rock hard as well. But amazing games.
Excellent music as well.
Yeah,
excellent music.
That's insane.
Biggest problem with the Turrican games, which makes it frustrating to play, is that you can't see what's below you, can you, until you've already hit it. You know. But then that was 8-bit, wasn't it? That happened all the time with 8-bit games, didn't it? It was not unusual.
Yeah.
But yeah, OSG obviously says here that Paul was right there with what he was saying. It's funny because I'm sure I had heard that, but I didn't know for sure. So that's good to know. Right. So my one is this game here, and this was originally Size, I believe. I got this out to play it forward box, and that is Bubble Bobble. Now, I've played many different versions of this game, but the first one I ever played was the Commodore 64 version. And I'm sorry, but you know, like everybody says, there's not a bad port of Bubble Bobble, at least not as far as I know. However, none of them are as good as the Commodore 64. And I'll tell you why. It's because when I hear the music on the NES or any other thing, it doesn't sound right. It's not Bubble Bobble. Bubble Bobble to me is the Commodore 64 version with that music coming from the SID chip. You know, the other versions might play well and good, but without the music and sounding the way the Commodore 64 does, it's just not right, and I can't play it. I don't want to play it. It's got to be the C64 version. So, you know, and I think that pretty much narrows that down pretty well in terms of the music, and that's why it's so nostalgic for me. And I think the music plays a big part in nostalgia when it comes to 8-bit games. Wouldn't you agree?
It does.
Yeah.
You can still remember the tunes like 40 years later, even when you've not even touched the game, can't you?
Yeah, you'll hear it and you're like, all of a sudden you're whisked back to where you was. when you last played it, or whatever, when you first
Honestly,
played it.
like if I for some reason hear the Ocean Loader music or something like that, I'll be like humming that for like the rest of the day, or yeah, and I'm like, oh my god, I'm still like humming that same tune. It's pretty mad.
Yeah, it's been the best bit about reliving this and going through and just. I mean, I've spent the other day just loading tape after tape. I only played about 10 seconds of the game to check it was working, but the best bit was the loading of the game and hearing the music kick in and all the rest. That's it's just it is, especially I think probably again for Commodore lovers because of that SID chip, that the music is huge. It is a significant part of loving that machine. Yeah, I just
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, when it comes to the C64, without a doubt, it is, isn't it? You know, if it just imagine, like, if you played that game with the music off, it just wouldn't feel the same, would it?
Oh, no.
You know, it really wouldn't, would it? That is a big, massive part of the nostalgia. But like you were saying earlier, Paul, I mean, you know, watching some of Rach's videos, some of the music on the Amstrad is quite impressive.
Yeah,
I have to
it's
admit.
way better than I ever give it credit for.
Yeah.
It did have some good tunes on it, but it's a shame it wasn't sort of, you know, taken advantage of and used to the best of its capabilities, really, with, you know, music and graphics and things. Because it's only really in later years that people have used it, you know, to its best advantage. So I'm glad we're seeing that now. I can finally say, oh, well, it's not all Spectrum parts, you know. It can scroll.
Well, it's funny you say that, because that kind of brings us into our last topic. Now, we did bring this up on the first one, but I do think this is something we should mention on a regular, and especially since we got Martin in, because I'm sure he's got plenty to say about this particular subject. He's bought most of Cytronic's library, so he should have. Right. Okay. Anything homebrewed any of you guys want to discuss, Paul?
Yeah, I mean, I don't mind kick. Oh, sorry, go on, Paul. Go on.
Go for it, I was just scratching me here.
Yeah, I guess I was only in. So naturally, once I'd got the Commodore 64 and started getting things working on it, you guys had mentioned this thing called homebrew, and of course, I'm aware of like people that have built sort of little games for any console or any computer over it for a long time, but I hadn't really noticed it on the C64. So you guys introduced me to companies like Cytronic, obviously, Bitmap Soft, and there's obviously others out there as well. So then I started picking a couple up. So I literally bought, I think this was back in January when I first learned about Cytronic, and I picked up a couple of games. The first one I picked up was Nixie on the C64, and I wasn't really expecting much, to be honest. I was thinking, what are people gonna do? Frankly, how can they beat the games that are from the original time? These absolute classics like Turricans and IK Plus and so on and so forth. The first thing that I was really surprised about is that the effort that goes into these things. So I cannot fault the company, even before we get to the actual game, right? These companies like Cytronics and Bitmap Soft and others, the quality of the product they're producing for the cost that they're charging, I think is amazing, right? So the fact that you could still buy cassette tapes, this one, I don't know if you can see on the camera, but this is Nixie. It comes in a clear tape with little sparkles in it and all nice. Yeah, it's got nice text on it. The case is a really nice quality case. You've got card inlays with details of the game and the constructions, lovely artwork on it, and you're talking about £8, I think, to buy one of these, like super cheap, right? And then that's even before you even get the game going. So I have absolutely loved picking these things up because, again, as I said, for me, a big part of the hobby is the aesthetic of it as well, the look and feel, the touch, the reading of it, all of this, even before I fire the game up. If the game's great, it's a bit of a bonus, but there's all the stuff beforehand. So yeah, I have absolutely loved delving into it. Maybe I've gone a bit heavy. I think since January, I've picked up 25 games from Cytronics.
You can never go too much on them.
Oh, that's good. Thanks, mate. That's good. That means I can get some more.
I'm sure his wife says different. Does your wife say different though, Martin?
No, we don't talk. It's fine. But yeah, and then once you get them loaded, yeah, people have done some really cool stuff with the limitations of the machines. Right, these are now 40-year-old machines, and the games are fantastic. This Nixie is a fantastic platformer. It really plays well, fluid. The graphics are great. The sound is great. You've actually got something you need to achieve in the game, and it works brilliantly. Battle Kingdom is another one, an amazing game. It's all does just I can go on about them all day, but there are some. I can if you want me to. There's loads of games that you should get, but yes, I'll shut up and let Paul jump in. Maybe go on, Paul.
Oh damn, I was enjoying that.
Yeah, so was I.
So, I mean, my homebrew journey started on the Commodore 64, and then it kind of spread to the Spectrum, where I found that the homebrew scene was even more widespread, I would say, than the Commodore 64. Although I would say the Commodore 64 games that we're getting at the minute look really, really interesting. Like, I seen a version of the Chaos Engine that was running for the Commodore 64. Like, I would love one day for us to get that. Impossible Mission 3, that's back on the cards again now. Had a bit of a contractual thing, but apparently that's sorted. So, and some of the screenshots. Can I just mention we've got 8-Bit Micro's homebrew Facebook page. If you search for or I might be able to give Lee the link and he can put it in the description or something like that. But
we can do that.
like in that group, it's like you for the 64, the Amstrad, the Speccy, MSX, Atari 800, like even like NES. There's even people in there with like NES homebrew. And it's a pretty good group. We've got just under 600 people, I think, in there, but it's quite friendly, and I just share any information that I see from like the software houses that I follow, and I normally share it in there. But yeah, the Impossible Mission 3 is looking really good. But yeah, so it started with the 64. It went onto the Spectrum, and then when I picked up the Amstrad, I eventually I found some decent games on the Amstrad as well. Some of the best ones for the Amstrad, because I don't really get a chance to talk about Amstrad homebrew too often, but I figured with Rach on.
Can I just cut you off just quick, Paul? Just quick.
No.
I don't know if you have you just seen what OSG's just said, because this will interest you.
Yeah, I would love to have a go. I know they were trying to program the music into it as well, and there's actually 2 different versions of the music. Or maybe it's 2 different versions of the same game, but like one of them, the music is absolutely awesome. I was just like, it really does sound so good on the SID.
I love Chaos
Yeah,
Engine on the Amiga.
I'll give you a message, Paul, because I would definitely like to have a blast on that because it looked good. It did. But Amstrad homebrew games that I recommend: Sir Abbey Ball. Me and Si both done a video on this, but his is on the Spectrum version and mine's on the Amstrad version. And the Amstrad version, I'm sorry to say, Spectrum fans, is, in my opinion, better. It was a lot easier to get on with the game. Like, size is weird, like you're bouncing all over the place, whereas this you just gotta bounce on them to kill, and that's a pretty decent game to get you going. Then probably my favorite Amstrad game is Galactic 2. This is like
Ant-Man, as I like to put it.
Well, this one, it's kind of like what you imagine Turrican should have been like on the Amstrad. It's pretty good. Yeah, enjoyed playing that one. And then this is the sequel, Sime Chronicles. This is just more the same. As you can see, it's definitely got a game over vibe on the front there. And like, I suppose the game itself is a lot like
Can you just hold that up again, Paul? Can you just hold that up again? Because the artwork looks really good on that.
Oh yeah, any excuse there. Right, there you go, mate.
Yeah, look at that. I mean, that is cracking,
It's definitely the artwork you're looking at, Lee. I can tell, mate.
Oh yeah. Well, we have to keep this professional, don't we? No, it's good, isn't it? Like you don't see artwork like that anymore, do you? It's a lost art,
you don't, mate. No.
Probably the game that shocked me the most on the Amstrad, homebrew wise, was this. Like, I had no idea a game could scroll and play so fast and as good as this. This is a must buy for any Amstrad. If you like shoot 'em ups anyway, and you play Amstrad and you want a bit of homebrew, I cannot recommend this game enough if you can get a copy, because they are like hen's teeth. But obviously you can emulate it, or like I've got a device that I can plug into the back of the Amstrad, and it goes on like the expansion port or something. It's got all the games on like a USB stick, so I can always load them in like that. But obviously, tapes the way like if you want to play.
Yeah, it's a brilliant game.
That's called Relentless. I'm not sure if I said what it was called. But yeah, that's,
you covered that one, didn't you, Rach, on your channel, didn't you?
It is. I really enjoyed that. And I was trying to get a physical copy of it as well, but can't get hold of one. But it's brilliant. Well worth the go.
Yeah, I described it as like Space Invaders mixed with Tron.
Yeah.
It just felt like that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, this is the thing. I haven't got an Amstrad, but I actually did download that, and I've been playing it on that Power Kitty V90 because you can emulate C64 Spectrum. It's even got an emulator for MSX. Not that I've got any ROMs for it, but after watching your video and Rachel's video, I downloaded it and I've been playing it. So
be interested to see what that plays like on it. That'd be pretty.
Yeah,
cool.
no, I'll have to have a look, see if I can find that. Yeah, definitely. Like I say, like the artwork of that always reminds me of Ant-Man. Always.
I remember you saying. Yeah. And the second one reminds me of Game Over. So
yeah. Took inspirations from other things.
For sure.
So, Rach, anything homebrew you'd like to discuss?
I'll be honest, I'm not massively familiar with the homebrew. I've done like a few videos on different homebrew games, just what other people have sort of said, have a go on this. I didn't really know didn't even know they were still making games for these old systems till probably about 18 months ago. But there's quite a few good ones for the Amstrad. Relentless, like Paul said, that's bloody brilliant. That's in my new top 3 Amstrad games of all time.
It is class.
It is brilliant. And there's also things like can't think of the blooming name of it now. No, my mind's gone blank. But there's quite a few of these things like Anima, Rick. They're quite good as well. But there's so many good games, and I've only touched on a few of them. So I need to get more into it, really, because there are some bloody good games out there.
Have a look on that Facebook group if you go on there, because I've linked at the top. There's like a pinned post with a link to everywhere that sells homebrew games. Like if anyone puts on there, can you add this to the list? I just add them like to the list. So have a look. And honestly, there's just so many. Like there's a lot of smaller developers as well. The latest one I picked up was this one from Spain. I haven't played it yet, but it's the CPC Retro Dev Kit. Dev games.
Oh, yeah.
So this is packed with like, I'm not even. I think there might be like 20 games. Like the tapes are just like really. You should see the size
There's
of the
some
tape.
good games in that Retro Dev thing.
I mean, look, that is just.
Yeah,
I don't know if you can make that out, but there's a lot. There's a lot of tape on there.
What's that, like a 90-minute tape, maybe? It's quite a bit there, isn't it?
So, and there's 2 of those, but like that was the only way I could really find like some decent, like not decent homebrew, but like just some homebrew to keep us going, because I wanted to cover some homebrew on the Amstrad, and I just found it really difficult to find. So I put all the links.
Operation Alexandra. Sorry, it just popped into my head then what this game was called. Operation Alexandra. It was called. Bloody brilliant. That's like a shooter game, and it is. It's great music and everything. Looks great. Plays really well. It's fantastic. Give that a go. It's definitely worth it.
Yeah, it does seem that Amstrad seems to be a system that's kind of been left behind a little bit with the homebrew, doesn't it? I wonder if it's difficult to code for or something like that. Maybe that's the reason. I don't know. It is interesting.
Was right there.
yeah. Sam's Journey. I had a feeling that you'd agree with that, Paul.
Yeah.
Martin's obviously recently got it as well. Yeah.
So it's a great game. I mean, it's definitely in the pricey ones. You're not talking £8 for a copy of it, but It's a great game, and that's the thing I was going to say is that I'm really happy and grateful that these companies that are doing these homebrews aren't just releasing them digitally. They are going through the trouble of creating the tapes. I mean, again, the other thing I've started collecting from Cytronics is the feels like I'm doing a Cytronics product showcase or something. Maybe I should get sponsored by them, but I'm not, by the way. But the disc versions of the games, again, the fact that you can still get the 5 1/4 inch floppy disks. That are again all sort of labeled up and everything can look absolutely cracking. Better than the nostalgia of putting one of these in your machine is pretty heavy. So I've been picking up the tapes and also the discs because and again you get the inlays, you get proper manuals. You could go down the easy road of just releasing the game digitally, but you get all. It's just so nice getting all this stuff, even with like the map of the games inside the manual and stuff, so you can follow this when you're playing the game. It's really, really cool. So again, I'm very grateful that people have opened my eyes to the homebrew world for sure.
There's a YouTuber, Yellow Belly. He's coded a couple of games for the Amstrad, and he did his first one, literally his first game that he's ever done. Bug's Quest for Tapes. It was last May, I think it was released. Oh, bloody brilliant! Considering it's his first game, it was bloody brilliant actually. Little platformer, and he had one a few weeks ago. Sypho's Nightmare.
Yeah,
he's done a really great job.
Yes, I watched it on his stream. Well, I didn't watch it the first night he played it, but I think it was on the Friday night one. But he didn't start playing it until like 12 o'clock or something. So I was like really struggling to watch it, but it looked really decent, like really good.
That sounds
it
familiar.
Was really good.
Yeah, he was playing on his stream. It's like Zypho got a game made. Like I'm not sure what the details are behind that, but you can download it from itch.io, I think.
On CPC Power, is it?
Was that where it's from? I haven't played it yet, but they're on about making a sequel already, aren't they?
I think he's got some other games in the pipeline, something completely different, I believe. I don't know the details, but considering he's done like 2 games in his whole life, he's done really well on it. It's well worth a look.
Definitely.
Oh, hang on. OSG, Zypho's Nightmare is an N-Stream exclusive. Yeah. So, yeah.
But isn't it out on CPC Power now? Or it's going to be?
Don't know. Let's see if OSG knows. OSG knows loads of stuff. He'll probably know.
Yeah.
I can flash up some other good games. So if you've not played this one, I definitely recommend Guns and Ghosts.
That's one I want.
Yeah. It's it's little things like the mechanics of this game, because there's millions of games like it. Like it's a single screen, a couple of platforms, you're shooting zombies, skeletons, and bats. That's not exactly groundbreaking. What they've done is that the gun you've got is a double-barreled shotgun. So every time you shoot a bullet, you've only got 2, and you have to stand still to obviously reload one of those bullets. And obviously, if you stand still for long enough, you can reload 2. So you've got that. I've got to move around and make sure I'm not got by the zombies, skeletons, and bats, and all the things that appear. But I've limited ammo. And unless I stand still, you can't sort of reload on the run. So it's little things like that make it quite. You've got to be a little bit strategical in who you take down and when you take them down, and moving around, and that standing still for even a second to reload your gun can be quite nerve-wracking. So. Then obviously you can get power-ups, you can get all sorts of things. But yeah, I really recommend Guns and Ghosts if you fancy a nice little shooter. Kingdom's a really cool game. I don't think many people have talked about this one, but this is a top-down view of a kingdom. Funny enough, it's been overtaken by a dragon. And all the houses and buildings around the castle have been invaded by monsters. So you have to go into each of these buildings, clear out the houses, and each time you do so, you might get an upgrade, like an extra arrow, because you have limited arrows, by the way. So you have to collect arrows. But over time, you collect bits of a sword, and once you've got the complete sword, you can then go into the castle and take on the dragon. And once you kill it, it just cycles around again. But this time, different houses have got different monsters in. The dragon's got a different power, so there's replayability, and keep going to see how far you can get down recycling the screen over and over and over again. But yeah, really, really cool one, Battle Kingdom. X-Force, I think you've done a video on this one, Lee.
Yes, good game. Good game. Yeah, it's a great game. That.
Ridiculously hard shooter.
Yes.
But,
yep.
But it's one that teaches you that it's not just about shooting the enemies. Dodging is just as important as shooting, because it's so fast. There's no way you can shoot everything on the screen. It's coming at you too much. So you've got to learn about positioning and dodging, as well as taking out certain enemies. So that one I think is really cool, and great music again in that game.
Yes. Yeah, it has got a good soundtrack.
You've got a video on it. I can't not talk about this one. So this game is amazing, which is Shadow over Hawksmill. If you like anything like Cthulhu-esque, investigation, FBI, what's it called? X-Files, that sort of game. You know, you find yourself in a deserted village with strange things going on, and you're investigating what's happening there, a bit paranormal. And it's really hard in the beginning. Like, I really struggled because it doesn't tell you much. Like, that's what I like about these games. I mean, you aren't told much of what you need to do. You just set off in the world and away you go. But once you find a way under the town, the game opens up hugely, and it's really interesting and really good. And it's one that I really want to complete. And I've gotten quite far on it, to be honest. But again, you've got to do it in one sitting. There's no saving. You've got to go from start to end in one go. So I'm looking for that couple of hours in which I can do that one. But yeah,
have you played the this one yet? The Legend of Atlantis, like it's by the same guys. Because I really like such a similar game.
Yeah,
but it's just great. It really is.
Yeah, that one's got that kind of Indiana Jones feel to it, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has.
Yeah, I think what grabs me from this is because of my other hobby, which is in the tabletop. They call it Cthulhu sort of atmosphere to this game. It really grabs you. It's that 1940s, 1950s type era. It's super cool. So yeah, they absolutely smashed it out of the park with Shadow over Hawksmill. And the other ones that I've been playing is actually a series of games. I didn't actually realize they are, but you've got Night and Growl and Pains and Aches.
Yeah.
And these are, this is the first one where you're playing this knight character. You're going around, obviously, dungeon delving, and you can get different armor upgrades and sword upgrades to give you certain types of immunity to different materials in the dungeon to get you through the next level. Very much sort of, trying to find your way, solving little puzzles and so on and so forth. Ultimately, to rescue a princess, as always. And then in the second one, you play that princess, almost going back and helping rescue the knights. So again, but this one's about sword and shields, and this one's all about wizardry and magic. So it's a nice different way of playing the game, all about sort of different types of combat and stuff. So yeah, like I say, I could talk about them for hours, but there's loads, and you should go and play them all.
Well, see, this is something that Size just said in the comments, and I'm where is it? There it is. Yep, and I'm hoping that Paul's just got it off the side because I think I saw him grab it. Now this I suppose you could say is a homebrew, but from way back.
Well, I'll tell you a little bit about it. I don't want to spoil it. But basically, I bought a box of games which all look like they had just like homemade like covers, like so they'd lost the original cover, so someone had like made replacements, for them to go in, and they were all really cool. And then I came across one that like I didn't recognize the name of, so tried to search for it and didn't get any hits. Went to is it World of Spectrum or their site, looked on there, nothing whatsoever. And then on closer inspection, I noticed that like the drawing on the front was actually the same name as the person who had made this tape. And from what I can gather, it's a game that someone has programmed in their room or in their own time, and they've made the front cover. Like, this is all hand drawn, like just with
It's good.
It's all handmade.
Attention to detail.
Yeah, it really is. It's just even down to he's even made the inlays to go on the tapes.
Yeah.
So they stick on the tape. And yeah, it was spoken by a guy called S. Sketchley, and I knew basically that the tape had come from the Leicester area. So went in me detective mode, went on LinkedIn and Facebook, etc. And I found a guy called Sean Sketchley. So I think it might have been last year. No, I think it was this year maybe, but earlier on, when I come across them. In fact, it might have been like over the Christmas, New Year holidays. I think it was one day during them. Anyway, I sent him a message on Facebook and never heard anything back until Friday. Friday, this guy got back to me and said, "Yes, I did program a game." He's like, "I was only I think it was like 12 or something like that when he programmed it." He's like, "Yeah," he says, "I vaguely remember it." He's like, "Oh, that's amazing! Like, it's great that it still exists," sort of thing. And yeah, I sent him the photos. He couldn't believe that because he thought I had just a version that I'd found online or something like that. Like he didn't realize that I had the actual one and only tape of it. So yeah, video incoming. I'm going to make a video about it.
Yeah.
I'm going to hopefully try and get him involved, but I haven't heard back from him for like 2 or 3 days. He hasn't got a very active profile, so I don't think he's like a social media person. So whether he agrees to take any part in it, I don't know. But I have offered to give him the game back if he wants. It's his game; he made it, so yeah, I'm happy. I think it'd make a good story to send it back, but only after we've played it. I have actually managed to get it to work as well. I have got
excellent.
footage of the game working. So yeah.
Oh, I look forward to watching this video, then. This will be
Yeah,
pretty good,
that'll be super cool. Like if he was if he made 35 years ago, say
That's amazing. Yeah.
imagine making something as a kid 35 years ago, and then someone from Inverness messages you on Facebook saying, "I think I've got your game you made when you were 12." So you'd be like, "What game?"
Yeah, it'd be amazing.
Yeah. So
do you have a way, Paul, of digitizing it or copying it just for preservation purposes? So
yeah, well, I haven't personally, but I was only just talking to Lee about this today actually, because he saw a really cool tape player. You've got to have a separate tape player for the specking, and I can't do it using my 128. So I need load it into a program that creates an image and then save that image. But yeah, I need a 3.5 jack. It's just the jack at both ends.
Yeah,
so and then I can connect it to me computer, and I'll be able to save it. But yeah, I think it'd be pretty cool to send it back to him.
Yeah, it's a super cool story.
He might not even want it back. I just don't know. Just whatever.
It'd be nice if you could even get him involved in the video as well, because I mean that'd be pretty good as well, wouldn't it? Yeah.
I mean, I bought these games, and I should mention I bought them on the swap shop, of course. Lee wouldn't be happy if I did mention that. Steve, I might take you up on that offer.
Yeah.
And yeah, these games, I actually bought it for, as I say, the replacement covers and the it had a load of power tapes, what you used to get on the cover tapes, I think on Commodore format. There's loads of them, and I was like, yeah, I want them for them. And it was them I was actually sorting out. They'd sat under the stairs for, I mean, it's got to be the best part of 9-10 months to a year. And it wasn't until my wife was like, look, can you please sort these out? They've been there for ever. And I was like, yeah, no worries. So I went through them, found that, put all the rest back in. And where are they now? Back under the stairs. So they're still there, minus this tape. But yeah, hopefully he'll get back to us about it, and we can do something.
Was he still in gaming and stuff? Was he still a software developer or anything like that? Has he stayed in the field?
No, from what I could find out on LinkedIn, some sort of he works for Harley Davidson in Leicester. That's it. That's if it's the same guy, which I'm pretty certain it is. I mean, I did stalk him bad, to be fair. But yeah, it just goes to prove though that it paid off. Like, you know,
Yeah,
he got
brilliant.
back. So yeah,
Yeah,
all through
great
the power of
story.
social media.
Yeah, this is a thing. A lot of people complain about social media, but there are some good things about it too. So, yeah, great story. I look forward to that video. What's this? Refix. I hate that. Puzzle bubble over here. Right. Okay.
I think it's in because Steve's doing some play testing.
Oh,
Remember, I
okay.
put Steve
Right.
some people, and yeah, because he's got certain types of Commodore 64s. So now he gets play test games before they come out, but he's not allowed to say anything about it, and he doesn't. He won't tell me.
See, now, while we're talking about homebrew, there was something I did want to discuss because, I mean, I've bought games from Cytronic. I've got some here. I've bought some from Chronosoft. Now, there are a few I'd like to get off of Bitmapsoft, but I understand that they can be a bit of a problem at times. I think, Martin, yourself, didn't you have an issue with them over a game, I believe, didn't you?
I'm just going to grab
Yeah, I don't want to go too much into it because I don't want to bash anyone too much. My only interaction with them, sadly, wasn't good, right? I bought 2 games. There's a clear difference, right? When I've bought stuff from Cytronics, I've only ever had one failed game from those guys, and of course, you're recording stuff to tape, you might expect it, and they very, without even questioning anything, they sent me a new tape next day. Yeah, no problem, Martin. Absolutely, hitting the new tape in the post and done and dusted.
Did the same with me as well. Yeah,
yeah. But with those guys, I think they question a lot about your system and how it's working, and have you tried this, that, and the other. And when you've got multiple tapes, it's like, well, yes, it could be my tape drive, but I can load tapes from other systems, no problems. So it felt like a bit of a rigmarole, back and forth to actually get them to accept the fact that it was on their fault. And then it took over a month for them to finally refund any money that was owed and stuff like that. So, whilst I can talk massively highly about my interactions with Cytronics and others, sadly, these guys missed the mark by a good way. Now, hopefully, I'm not going to say, I have said I won't work with them, I won't deal with them again, I won't buy stuff from them again. But I think I've called on that a little bit. We did get to a resolution eventually. But would I be going out there and shouting their names from the rooftops? Nowhere near as much as I have done quite clearly for Cytronics and others.
yeah.
And I think it comes to that whole thing of, it's not really an 8-bit conversation, but if you're going to start something, and Sega Zombie knows this from doing his own shop, and I'm sure other people in here who work in the services industry or run a service, customer service has to be number one, right? If you don't get that right, you only get you only get the first impression once, and if you don't get it right, then you're done. So sadly, with me, not so great. But I know they have had great interactions with others. I know, Paul, you have a great relationship with them, and have worked really well with them. So perhaps just unlucky. I would have no problems in saying you should go and buy every title that Cytronics has for sale. But I couldn't say the same, sadly, for Bitmapsoft. But that's my experience, sadly.
It is a shame, because like some of them, some of the best games I've gotten, like even if I just look through the games that I've got that are Bitmapsoft, that for some reason I can't see anywhere right now. Millie Molly, Hardy versus the space monsters, Last Train to Trans Central, Redshift. These are all really good games, and it's a shame that the customer service has let you down, because they're definitely games worth playing. So, and yeah, Scott's had some issues as well.
Yeah, I did wonder.
I think it's worse as well when. Sorry.
No, go on, Rach. Go on.
It's worse when it's like your first interaction with them as well. It's like you say, it's that first impression, isn't it? I've not had any dealings with them, so I can't comment either way.
And it's a shame because obviously behind the publisher, there is some great individuals producing some great stuff. So if their product doesn't get out there, they've spent all that time and effort on because the publisher, retailer, whatever has done a bad job, then it's a shame. And that's why I was, my temperature on it was very high a few weeks ago because I was very annoyed. But I think I've chilled a little bit now. One, because we've eventually solved the problem, and that's always great. I'll always give people the opportunity. But when I look again at the awesome stuff that these people are producing, of course I want to deal. Of course I want to support these people because I don't want it to disappear. It's been the highlight of getting the C64 back up and running again, getting these homebrew games, and I hope it may long continue. So if I can support that, then I will. But I do think in any business, you've got to get customer service right. Otherwise, you're going to lose. You're going to lose people, right? So yeah, it's and yeah, Scott's saying there he's had problems that still haven't been resolved, which is a real shame. And he knows running a shop, right? If you don't get it right first time, they ain't coming back tomorrow. It's as simple as that. They go elsewhere, right?
I think I mean, they've got a few games I do want to get, but because it's not just you, Martin, it's also Scott. Knowing that you've both had problems, that puts me off buying from them.
Yeah.
So, because like you said, with Cytronic, I mean, I bought my first 2 games off them. One of them didn't work. I got in touch straight away, like you said, no questions asked. He said, yeah, no problem. I'll get another one out to you. Sent the tape out, bunged it in, worked. Not a problem. And I mean, obviously, when they send you the replacement, they only send you just the tape, not the case again, because you've already got that, right? So, but yeah, I've not had a problem with Cytronic, and that was the only time a game didn't work, and they fixed it just like that, So yeah, I can attest.
One thing they pointed to, and I don't know if this is a thing for homebrew in the future, but one thing they pointed to was not for Commodore 64 especially, was the production of tapes was very difficult for C64. Apparently, it's a lot easier process. I mean, I thought it was just a case of recording, but maybe not. Maybe there's more in it. So they were going to consider stopping producing the Commodore 64 tapes. So now I don't know if that would just get rid of me, but
see, I want to call bullshit on that. I'll be honest, because I remember as a kid, I used to copy C64 tapes on a Sanyo double tape deck. So I don't get where they're coming from with this. Yeah, I've done it though, and it wasn't hard. So I don't know where they're coming from with this.
I've never been able to pirate a Commodore 64. I don't know what I was doing wrong. I was obviously doing something wrong, but I tried. It's not like I didn't try. Trust me, I tried and I tried and I tried, and I just could not. I just couldn't. Just no matter how hard I tried. But yeah, I mean, what can I say? Just quickly on bitmaps off. Like, I just want to stick up for them a little bit. Me personally, I've had no issues with any of the games I've bought. So, I mean, on that front, it means I've never had to deal with the customer service or anything like that. Yeah. But yeah, I've been lucky, and it maybe shouldn't be about luck. Do you know what I mean? Like, everyone should get the same service as what I've got, what I've had. I mean,
yeah. Well,
but look, like I say, I wouldn't say don't do it. Absolutely, you should support these companies because ultimately we are fans of the products and we want to see it continue. I would be gutted if they didn't. So I might give them a bit of grief, and I do hope that whoever does interact with them has a really great interaction. I hope they solve the problems they've got, because ultimately I want them to win. I want them to succeed. I want these businesses to be there because I'm a massive fan of what they do now. So yeah, let's hope they sort those niggles out. They solve Scott's problems and others, and I have good interactions with them going forward. And then I'll happily, as everyone has seen, sing them from the rooftops, because this is an area that I am very, very interested in and keen on. I mean, I've picked up 25 Cytronics games in the last 2 months, so to say I'm not a fanboy would be understatement. Anyway, yeah.
Well, I just want to show some of my ones that I've got here. Let's just turn that comment off. So I've got a couple here from Chronosoft. Now, Chronosoft, I would say that the quality isn't quite as professional looking, if you like, as Cytronic, and that's not me bashing them, because these are cheaper games. If I remember right, they were $4.99, I believe. So this one here is Cyberwing. I've played this on the channel. I don't know if you can see that properly. It's a bit clear, but this reminds me of like a simpler version of Xenon. You know, that's probably the best way to put it. It is very simple looking, but you get that general vibe. And then this is the tape. You know, like
Which one's that?
there's a very standard looking label on it. You know, but it is a nice coloured tape, which I like. So
I like how you've got a different colour tape to me.
we've had this discussion before, haven't we? Remember with the Spectrum ones? Yeah. Different colours, wasn't it? Yeah. So, and it's another one here. So this one is Joe Gunn. Now, this is very similar to your Atlantis game you've got there. Yeah, see, this is done by Cytronic as well. So I got this from Chronosoft.
Okay.
It is done by Cytronic as well. And this one, mine's a green tape, whereas I know people have got it with a different colour. So,
have you got Xenoblast? You've got Xenoblast, haven't you?
Yeah, but I haven't got it in here with me. That's in the other room at the moment.
So mine's like a weird, well, it's purple, so that's a bit like your
mine's
other one.
green, I think. Yeah, I think mine's green. So yeah, they just use whatever tapes are to hand by the sound of it.
Sure.
But
obviously
we've
old
got
Smash It tapes or something. They've just copied over them.
possibly. But I mean, what I like about it is that they're coloured. I mean, I like that. You know, just a little thing, but it looks pretty cool. You know. And the inlays are more like paper. They're not, they're not cardboard. Whereas, obviously, games like X-Force that Martin showed by Cytronic, they're a bit dearer, but they have got that cardboard feel.
This is my favourite.
The tapes are a little bit more generic looking, So yeah, I like that. That looks class. That one. Yeah. It's pretty cool, isn't it?
Yeah, man. They do a good job.
If you're showing homebrew games, I've got to show this because I love this game. Man Cave. If you haven't got this for a Commodore 64, what you're doing with your life, get it. It's a great game. Good fun. I don't think you got this one, Martin, have you? Sizzler?
No, I'll add it to the list.
So this one's a bit like a platformer type of game, and takes inspiration from Zap 64.
Yeah,
because it's very prominent in the background of the logo screen. So,
I tell you what, I'm a sucker for the cover art of Cytronic's games. So I'll buy it even if I don't know the game's any good because I get drawn in. I'm literally being I'm judging a book by its cover. In this case, I'm judging a game by its cover. So that one,
we were all guilty of that.
But yeah, when I look at the like these ones, when you see these artworks, you're just like, I have to pick that up. Like that just looks awesome. It just
yeah.
But luckily, most of them have turned out to be pretty good games. But like or this one, which is the Alien game. That's just a cool looking cover, right?
It is. I tell you what, though, the game it's not one of my favorite Cytronic games. I know it seems everyone else likes it apart from me, and I'm a massive Aliens fan, and it's obviously based on aliens. But
you're not alone, Paul. You're not alone. I've seen you play it, and I've seen Martin play it, and I've got to be honest, it doesn't look like it's for me either.
It's it's atmospheric, for sure. But I think if anything, the game's too big. It's like it's just
it's a huge
ship
game. Yeah.
It's massive,
yeah.
and there's not enough like difference between like much of the ship. So for me,
now that leads into this game I'm about to show here. You probably won't like this much either, Paul. So this is Space Trip 2086.
I've not
this come with a sticker as well, which was pretty cool. Again, the tape's not very adventurous. It's black. Got a nice label on it, nice cardboard glossy inlay. But this is a lot like that organism. The only difference being is that you have to go to different ships. So like the first ship might be one level, you kill the bad guys and you beam out on the little computer. Next one, it might be 2 levels, same difference. So you have to do kind of like with organism where you have to go up the different floors. Yeah, and then come back and then beam out. But as it goes on, each ship you go to, you get more and more levels. So I'd say this possibly is bigger than
Just
organisms.
watching the
So,
cats fight.
oh, they fighting.
Scratching my furniture.
So
Can't do
you might
nothing
find
here.
you wouldn't be a fan of this one either, Paul. Because I've got to be honest, I think it's okay, but
I've not played it,
it's,
mate. I've hold it up so I can have a look at the screenshots because I've not.
yeah, it's
Let's spin it
Spaceship
round.
2086. I don't
It
know if
doesn't
you
look
got
familiar.
that.
Have you done it on your video? Have you done a video on it?
Yeah, I've done a vid on it. Yeah.
I must have missed that one, mate. It doesn't ring any
Out
bells.
of all the games I've had from them, I think this would be bottom of the list of the ones I've had from them.
Right.
So, but yeah, you know, like I say, I think it suffers from the same problem as that organism you were saying about. Only with this, you've got more ships, so it's not just one ship with loads of levels; it's loads of levels over numerous ships. So, you know,
It's not a bad game. It's just, I don't know, just not for me. Which is a shame, as I say, because like when you play like an Aliens game on the Spectrum homebrew, they've getting this Aliens Neoplasma, which
yeah,
is just
that looks good. Yeah,
class.
That was really good. Yeah.
Oh.
Did that not get a C64 release then? That one.
Well, I've been speaking to the guy who done the Spectrum version on Twitter, and he started doing one. He linked us to a few videos, and it looks absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
It's definitely got that Commodore 64 twist. And if Dave Birdsall's watching, I'm not saying brown, but like with it done the graphics using like the black as like the shadow background and what have you. So yeah, it does look really good, but he stopped doing that game to concentrate on a BBC Micro one. So he said he's going to come back to it, but yeah,
Because it looked great. I mean, when you were
Shame,
playing it looked really good.
it was good. Oh, 2 seconds.
Why is he doing a BBC Micro game? He should stop and go back to the C64.
Oh yeah, totally agree.
So you was talking about a game earlier, Martin. Just going to touch on this last. You was talking about a game earlier on, Slipstream, which I was quite interested in, but it's only disc only. So
Yeah. So it's this one here, Slipstream, and it's basically trying to be Star Fox on the Commodore 64. It's the best way to describe it. So it's a 3D, shooter with you flying into the screen and the spaceships coming towards you. I'll try and show it on the screen. I don't know if you'll be able to see it. But you're almost looking from like behind the ship, so a bit like obviously Star Fox doing that. Now it does run on. It does detect which C64 which Commodore you're running when you start it up. So it runs on the 64, the 128, and the +4, which is obviously the C16 as well. So I don't know if it would run better on a 128. It might run better on a 128, but on the C64, you're struggling for frames. You're probably playing at 5 or 6 frames would be my guess. So it's really pushing the limits of what it could do. And I will do a video on it, or I'll do one of my Monday night retro streams on it or something, and I'll show it playing. I only got it yesterday, but when I fired it up, I played it for about 5 or 6 minutes, and it's hard. It'd be a struggle for me to tell you to go and get this one. It's like I appreciate what they're trying to do, but the horsepower is just not there for it, right? It's yeah. But I don't know. I don't know if the 128 would have run it. But I mean, I don't know. I have no way of ever testing it. I guess I could send it to you, Paul, and you could have a go with it. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I've got this drive. It'd be cool to see what the difference is.
Yeah, but
are you thinking about him running it on the C128? Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, just to see if it's actually any different, compared to running on the C64. So but again, isn't it great to see people still developing things and trying new things? Because probably 8-year-old me, if I'd fired this up, would have thought this was bloody amazing, because I would never have seen this kind of 3D graphics being done. So it's interesting. I'm going to give it another go. But yeah, I wonder if because it's out on multiple versions, whether it would run better on the 128. I don't know.
Interesting.
Someone's put in the chat. Maybe it'll run better on a super CPU.
CPU, yeah.
Don't
know. Right.
But
So
yeah, again, great. Getting sold on the covers. Getting sold on the look and feel of it. I am a complete and utter sucker for it. So yeah,
That's what you did back in the day, though. And sometimes the covers had absolutely no relation to the actual game, and you're like,
yeah,
it's what you do, isn't it?
yeah. The other one I picked up. So the three I got yesterday, one was Slipstream, the other one was Pains and Aches, and the other one I picked up, I can't even say that, it's Argus, and it's I think you'll remember games like this back in the day on like the PC, like these kind of dungeon crawler games.
Oh yeah.
You're looking out of the eyes of the sort of the protagonist, and you're just moving left or right and seeing forward, then turning northeast southwest, moving forward, northeast southwest, turning forward, and then fighting monsters and picking up items. So this one looks really good. It's going to be a big game, I think. But again, pushing the limits of what these machines can do. So
I think I remember that one actually. The development for it, it looks pretty cool.
Yeah, and again, great artwork. So I put it in
good
the
artwork. Do you know what that sort of artwork reminds me of? And it's funny because obviously Cytronic is basically a copy of the logo of Psygnosis, isn't it?
Yes.
And that cover art does look like something you would have seen them do back in the day.
Yeah.
They're definitely inspired by it. The look is like they've already come out and said that it is based on the Psygnosis.
Yeah.
What a cool look.
I think that's what I like about it,
Yeah.
Right, so I think we're going to start wrapping it up here. So before I come to you guys with what you've got going on with your channels, I just want to put this on.
Love that music.
Yeah, it's great, and it is good. So yeah, I just wanted to put that on because if people aren't aware, I am hosting the next Retro 5 stream, which will be next Monday at 8 p.m. So yeah, it won't be on Paul's one, it's not on Lee's, it's on mine, just so anyone who's confused as to where it's been going, because it's been moving around, it'll be on mine 8 o'clock next Monday. Other than that, I really can't say what I've got lined up. I haven't really put my mind to it, if I'm honest. I've been concentrating a lot on either Premiere Friday, this stream, next week's stream. So I haven't really thought about, in terms of videos, what I want to do or what I've got coming up. But yeah, so Paul, what have you got planned to come up?
Well, I've been having a bit of a sabbatical. So when it comes to Wednesday, it'll have been 3 weeks since I've released a video, which is like, I would say, the longest I've ever went without releasing anything. I'm just having a bit of a time out, bit of a just a step back for a little bit. So yeah, I just haven't got the time at the minute to really make anything. And when you're trying to improve on every video, you want to be able to put time aside for it. However, 2 days after the Retro 5 on the Monday, I've got the Retro Gamer Quiz. And on the Retro Gamer Quiz, we've got Super Jim Tendo, and he's going to be up against Nintendo Arcade, Alex. And they're both going to be taking on Cine Steve, Retro Gamer, who I'm looking forward to chatting to for the first time. Huge Amiga fan. Obviously, his channel's really awesome. Like, I think he's only brought out like one video in the last like 6 months or something. So yeah, definitely definitely looking forward to getting the crack with those. And then after that, I've got a few homebrew games which I've been deliberating on whether to make a video or not about them. So I might look at doing one of them. And yeah, there's a new series in the pipeline called like the 10 Essential. But yeah, that's I can't really see anything much else about that other than the first one will hopefully not be long. I've got the games that are going into it now. I just need a bit more background so I can have a good chat about them. It's going to be a bit of a voiceover job. So yeah, that's it from me.
Cool. Look forward to that. I like your voiceover videos. I think they're really good. So yeah, I look
Practice
forward to
makes
that.
perfect. I'm hyper critical when I listen to them back, and I'm like, oh man, I could have done this, could have done that, but I don't know.
We
I've
all
just
do
got
it.
to try and improve with each video. You know what I mean? That's the aim, just to try and just make it a little bit better next time.
Yeah.
That's what I like to do.
Winning formula, though. That's how you do it, isn't it?
Well, that's what. The channel's doing all right at the minute. I've got no complaints whatsoever.
Yeah, it's working. Yeah, that's right. So, Rach, what have you got planned?
I've been a bit slow with my videos lately with work. I'm getting work doing on the flat, but got a couple of game reviews in the pipeline, and got something a bit different. Something for the Vic 20 for all you lonely hearts out there. Some of you might know what I'm talking about already.
Oh yes. I can't believe that. I still can't believe that. It doesn't
I
make
can't
sense.
believe it.
Oh, that'll be an interesting one. That one. Martin, what have you got planned?
Yeah, so obviously the two sides of the hobby, the retro video gaming and the sort of tabletop war gaming and painting. So I haven't picked up the paintbrush for a long time. So and that always happens. New Year, I always seem to have a bit of a kind of, a lull period of creativity. So I'm very much looking forward to picking the paintbrush up because I've got a bunch of projects I need to crack on with. So that means there'll be painting live streams, which I know some people have enjoyed coming along and just listening to some music and chilling out and watching me paint tiny fighting men. Yeah, very, very chilled streams.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably where I'm going to go more towards is the streaming side of things. So even, I do a show on Mondays called Monday Night Retro. Obviously, I'm not doing it tonight. But where I fire up a machine, and recently it has been the Commodore 64, and I play a bunch of games and I have a chat with you guys whilst the tapes are loading, whilst we're doing it, in that time. Yeah, I've got a few unboxings and reviews to do of some different board game stuff. I've obviously got a whole new load of homebrews that I want to go through. So the ones you just saw, I want to play those and give my sort of critique on them. And I think that's probably the direction I'm going to be going. Like I said, I think I'm going to be focusing much more on the Commodore. Obviously, got the Amiga Mini as well, right? So I really want to spend some time on the Amiga Mini.
I still got to get mine.
Yeah, and ultimately that will lead to me getting that Amiga going, right? So I have two in the works, and hopefully one of them will work. Else I'll be going out and getting another one, because I do feel like that will be, and that the next big nostalgia hit will be the day I turn on and have a working Amiga and put Kickoff 2 in it or whatever it is I'm going to play, and just go through that whole ride again. I can't wait to do that. So yeah, just loads of stuff, man. And when I can remember, I'll record it.
I love your painting streams, like you was just saying. I mean, I know that I can sit there, I just chill out, like watching, something so simple, probably not simple to do because, like painting miniatures, it's not an easy thing to do, but from a watching point of view, it's very relaxing. It must be like watching fish in a fish tank. And I've got fish, so yeah, it's very relaxing in the same sort of way. So
you're literally watching paint dry, Lee. That's the thing. That's what you're doing.
But with some good music too. So
somehow I've made streaming out of watching paint dry. It's amazing. But yeah, I mean that's why I do it. For me, the painting stuff is a complete breakaway from everything else in the world, right? It's just you, a paintbrush, and a miniature, and you can just let yourself go and do it.
Switch your brain off.
Yeah, exactly. But I do also want to keep cracking on with the retro gaming as well. But I do think, like I said right at the very beginning, I have a collection of things. I feel I've now, for me, retro is about this Commodore and those machines. I didn't think it was going to be that, but it is. There's no two ways about it. I'm in as deep as you can go, I think.
Yeah.
No getting out now.
If you're allowed to say that on the internet, I don't know, but there we go. That's what I've done.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, there's no need to cut that bit and use it for reasons later on.
How did you know I was thinking that? Blackmail. Right, okay, so I think we're going to wrap it up here, but I would like to add, just before I go, anyone who's been watching, there's been a ticker tape along the bottom saying that all of my guests' channels will be linked in the description. So if you haven't checked out anybody that's on this stream with me, make sure you do. They're all great channels. I can say this because I watch all of them on a regular. So yeah, definitely check them out. And all there is really left to do, guys, is wave like we're on a dodgy 80s game show as I put the outro on.
Bye-bye.